Hello, one and all, and welcome to the podcast we call the Fantastival with myself, Steve Nussbaum. In the podcast, I invite my guests to come on and talk to me all about their musical tastes, their memories, their experiences, and I get to collate their fantasy festivals, which I have christened Fantastivals. I hope everyone is well. We are now on episode 178. 2025 continues to fly by. We're now in June, and summer is almost here. Before we start this one, just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who listened to the last episode of the Fantastival Podcast. Thanks to our last guest as well. We had on Russell Marsden from Band of Skulls, who are a great band. He's currently around the States supporting Jet at the moment. Russell was a great guest, a great lineup. So if you've not listened to that episode, please go back and do so. You won't regret it. So time to introduce the guests on the 178th episode of the Fantastival Podcast, and I'm delighted to introduce two members from the fantastic band Ways Away. We've got guitarist Sergie Loobkof and we have drummer Jared Shavelson. Gentlemen, welcome to the Fantastival Podcast.
Thank you. And also, I had to compliment you on saying my name. Like, I do these kind of things for people who I'm a stranger to them, and the way people pronounce my name, like, sometimes is like crazy, and you did it really well. You did Jared's last name a little wrong though.
Oh, did I? Jared, apologies. How should I have said it?
Well, it's Shavelson, but I was my anxiety was building when you were getting to saying Sergie's name as well too.
So yeah, when I go to when I go get coffee or whatever, and you have to give a name and stuff, I always go Peaches, because I'm so sick of like squeegee, squadgy, sklaggy, splobble. And then when you have to add the last name, Loobkof, like, that's just like, people can't handle that one. I think even in Russia, people probably can't handle that one.
With a surname like Nussbaum, I completely feel your pain. Completely feel it.
Mine was close though. You weren't too far off, but it's Shavelson. But you did get the first name right, which is usually gotten wrong as well. So.
Yared.
Jerry.
I feel like that's my Englishness, and I think like most English people, when they look at the spelling of your name, would probably pronounce it like I did. So maybe that's a UK, US thing, maybe, in terms of the pronunciation. I'll blame it on that anyway.
Excuses. I love it. Always got an excuse. Loaded in the chamber.
Always ready to get.
It's okay. I have a history of saying people's last names wrong, so it's okay.
All right, we'll get there. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm in the UK, you're in the US. I'm so delighted we've made this happen. I always like to start the podcast by asking people how they are generally. Mental health is really important. It seems like everyone needs their time, needs their space, needs to get away from social media at points and just have me time. So I'll start with you, Sergie. How are you, mate?
I mean, I'm never all that good, but it's okay. I'm one of those kind of guys that always get the question, what's wrong? Like, I'll see you and you go, what's wrong? And I go, oh, nothing. That's just the way I am. But yeah, things are going okay. I don't know.
That's good. That's good.
I could complain, though. It's not that kind of podcast, but on another podcast about complaining, I'm like the best guest that they've ever had.
Oh, really? What podcast was that? What have you been on about complaining?
They haven't made that one yet. But if they make one about just complaining about things big and small, like, I'll be right behind Aswell Rose or whatever. It's best guess.
And Jared, what about you? How are you doing? How are you feeling today?
It's just another day. It's just I opened my eyes today. That's as good as it can get. Yeah, ups and downs, but
Jared's Jared's at like home for like the first little spell in about a year and a quarter, because he's been on tour so much, and I think. Although he likes being at home, he's having trouble adjusting to it.
It's okay. I leave Friday.
We're obviously going to talk about
last weekend too.
Yeah, where do you think I got this shiner from?
Yeah, what's that all about?
I had to go drumstick to the face during my last set. It hit me right here.
Oh wow! How
didn't stop though?
Oh, the Ultimate Professional didn't stop. Was it kind of? Did you hit the drums too hard and it just reflected back into your eye? I think you're going to have to tell us a story about how that one happened.
I guess this can play into your festival as well, too. When you play festivals and you're only given about 10 or 15 minutes to swap over and sit down and play and expect everything to be set up properly, it just never is. So you just kind of got to wing it when you don't have enough time and drums are just not in the right place and you're just not sitting in the right place and just trying to like move your body to get through the set, on an uncomfortable instrument. And my face was in the way. I got stuck. I just probably got it stuck on like on like, coming up, while I was playing, and I just had to like kind of fumble to not drop the sticks, and it hit me in the eye.
Sergie, have you ever had any
So in the festival,
mishaps in your...
we would have more than 15 minutes. That changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Sergie, have you had any close calls on stage, or have you been lucky enough to escape injury so far?
No, I've like fallen off the stage. I bleed a lot when I play because I don't play like I play guitar, and I don't play with like I'm barely proficient at playing guitar, and I don't play with any kind of real technique and stuff. So like I always split my nail on my like pick finger, and that like on the fourth day of any tour, like I'm like, I don't know if I can do this freaking tour because it's like kind of painful to play. So like it's not like drums, but I've definitely fallen off the stage, especially I don't really drink anymore, but when I used to drink, and that was part of what playing music was going on tour and like having fun, doing that kind of thing. There was, I could remember at least like 3 or 4 times where I completely fell off the stage or knocked over my amp and stuff. But I've never like twisted my ankle or whatever, or broken a leg or whatever that could have happened. But yeah, I've definitely like sloppily and like making a whole room just laugh at me by falling. Particularly I've never been in a really popular band, and so like I play in places sometimes where they like, like prop up a stool and say you have to stand on the stool. That's the only space you get, or whatever. That's the size of the stage. It's about as big as my feet, or whatever. And yeah, but that sounds like I'm trying to use the excuse of the situation, provided it really is. Anytime I've fallen off the stage, it's because I'm an idiot.
I'm sure that's not the case. So, gentlemen, let me take you back to your earliest musical memories. Sergie, what do you remember about being young and music? What are your earliest musical memories?
The first time I remember like appreciating music was like listening to the music, like I think a lot of people, of my parents, which was like, it was the 80s, and it was kind of like, with my mom, she's from Argentina, so it was kind of like Brazilian music, or South American music like bossa nova and stuff. But in general, what they both listened to mostly was like 80s like American soul music, so like Earth, Wind and Fire and the Commodores and that kind of thing. And that was the first time, which is a lot different than soul music of today, because that had like acoustic drums and it had guitars and bass. It was more like kind of more like rock music, And that's definitely what led me down the path to be interested in playing rock music, But yeah, so like, when I was 10 or a little bit younger than 10, and I first realized that, oh, music is a neat thing, it was definitely, like soul music.
And what about you, Jared? How did you get into music early on? What were your kind of earliest memories of music?
My dad would drive me to elementary school, like first, second grade, which was only like 3 blocks away, but it seemed forever because I would always listen to like classic rock with him. So he'd be playing me, Led Zeppelin, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, all like the classics is what these old classic rock. I'm not even sure if he was listening to radio or if he was putting on cassettes. I believe he would probably be putting on cassettes.
Maybe 8-tracks.
I don't think he had an 8-track in the car then. This was the 80s. So this would have been, like mid 80s. And I remember him driving and like this one time he put on Led Zeppelin, and I went, oh my God. And so it was Led Zeppelin that was really the thing for me. I was in second grade then. And then I started playing drums like immediately after.
And that was your route into music, was it, in Jared? Because obviously this is an audio podcast, but you've got a guitar in the background hanging up. So did you guitar and drums, or it was just purely the drums for you?
This guitar was my dad's.
Right.
It's a 69 Fender Mustang. And it was just in the basement forever as I was growing up. And I got it from him now, and I've got it fixed up, and it's working. I think Sergie played it once, right?
Oh, yeah. I used to have one just like it, but I sold it. But mine was a couple years earlier, but it's like mid-60s Mustang, which are like awesome guitars.
Yeah, this is a 69 Mustang.
And Sergie, how about you?
It was more of a family.
How about you, Sergie? How did you get into actually kind of playing music after you kind of got into the soul vibe?
So I answer this question a lot, and it's the same thing. It's back to my complaining about life not being fair. My parents decided it was time to move on from the piano because we had a piano from very early on. I have a twin brother, and we shared a room, and we had a piano, and we had lessons, but we never practiced, and we didn't understand the piano in respect. Like it's like we didn't listen to any music that had piano, and we were like, "What the? Why?" It's like, why am I going to learn how to play piano? So we put zero effort into it, and at one point, my parents realized that the piano was like literally carved into, like just like we kind of graffitied our thing with like knives, and half the keys didn't work because we like dropped quarters in between. I'm like, I wonder what happened if we dropped a quarter between here. Oh shit, this key doesn't work anymore. So they brought us to a music store, like probably like more like 11 or 12, and they bought my. They just decided unilaterally that my brother was going to be a guitar player and I was going to be a drummer. And so they brought my brother a freaking, I don't know how much it cost in the 80s, but like what would be now like a $1,200 guitar, and like, 100 now would be like $150 little mini amplifier. They didn't buy me a drum set. They bought me a pair of sticks and a drum pad, or whatever. And so I was a drummer. And like, if you're a real drummer like Jared, then you take that and you go with it. You learn like paradiddles and all the rudiments. But like I was like, I don't have a drum set. Like I can't play along with anything. And I would I get the Mel Bay books and I would try to do the do dot dee dee left right left right whatever. But that was just way too boring for me. So it took a good 5 years before no, yeah, maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 years before I just started using my brother's guitar, and he taught me how to put two fingers to make a part of a bar chord, like a power chord, and then I just started learning how to play guitar. But before that, I ended up being in bands playing drums, but I'm just an awful drummer or whatever. But yeah, I still, even when I think about it now, like 30 something years later, I'm just like, how unfair was it that he got a guitar and a freaking amp and I got a piece of wood with some rubber on it and a pair of sticks.
It all worked out all right in the end, though. I think, to be fair. So, I guess in terms of your first bands, right? Because Ways Away weren't, I think, both your first bands. Obviously, there were bands before that led to Ways Away. So, Sergie, I guess tell us about kind of your musical journey, I guess, to how Ways Away happened.
So like I said, I started in drums, and I had my first band, which was called Soup. And then I was a band called Sweet Baby Jesus, playing drums, that actually like got signed to like a Warner Brothers label, which is kind of weird for like my second band ever. And like I said, I was a shitty drummer, but we actually got like signed. But then I switched over to guitar and started a band called Samiam that's like still going, has been on for like decades. That sounds very much like What Ways Away is.
Sorry, pouring coffee.
And I've been in several other bands like Knapsack once one and Solea that are all like kind of similar to What Ways Away is. Like mainly because like I write a lot of the music, and like I'm a one-trick pony in a way. Like it just all sounds kind of the same with different singers and different drummers and different bass players. But yeah, like Jared will tell you, he's been in like 10,000 bands, but Jared and I are like quite different in our history. Whereas like, with exception of this one band called Knapsack, I've never been asked to join a band, or I've been asked, but I never really joined bands. And Jared's been in probably like 3 times or 4 times as many bands as I have, but he's joined a lot of like semi and established bands. So this question is interesting to ask the two of us because we're very different. Not to answer his question for him, but
So Jared, obviously you spoke about hearing Zeppelin, and that gets you into the drum world. Tell us about your kind of drumming evolution and how you came to be kind of where you are today.
Oh, I started playing drums then 2nd grade, and then failed miserably at school outside of that, and just had my mindset on just excelling at playing music, and that's all I did. So from 2nd grade all through high school, I just played music, studied jazz. I played, everything that had to do with music, all throughout growing up, playing in all the wind ensembles, the orchestras, the jazz bands, the marching bands, all the plays that were happening around town. Then I would go do like all-state competitions, and went to study at Berkeley when I was in high school, and then went to a college studying jazz performance in New York until I dropped out to be to go on tour. But throughout that whole time, being interested in jazz, I was also involved in like the underground punk scene in Philadelphia. So I didn't see them being that different. So I just spent a lot of my time growing up in going to jazz clubs and hardcore shows at the Unitarian Church in Philly, and until I went on tour. And then that was when I joined the Hope Conspiracy, which is a hardcore band out of Boston. And that was the first band it's not true. My very first band that went on tour was this band on Creep Records called Man Without Plan. And that was while I was in college. And then we were also doing other like bands in college called like I Am the Resurrection, and like these kind of like loud screamo bands, and going to ABC No Rio shows in New York City. And then once I started going on tour with Hope Conspiracy, it just kind of kept rolling from there, just joining other different hardcore bands, and a band called None More Black, and then a band called Painted Black. And then I honestly, it would be very challenging for me to go through it all without forgetting somebody or one band, and I'd feel pretty bad about that. But like Sergie said, I get hired in often after the fact, and starting things from the ground up for some reason isn't really kind of my go-to. I usually come in afterwards, but not with Ways Away. With Ways Away, this started with me and Sergie and a bass player who is not playing with us anymore. But the three of us started the band. I can't remember how many years ago. 2018?
19.
Yeah, 19. Yeah.
And then how did Jesse come into it then? So you had the three of you. So how did you find the frontman to be the voice of the band?
Jared was friends with him, but not good friends, just like sort of tour friends. I didn't have any idea about like his band, Stick to Your Guns. And in a way, I didn't really know too much about that whole style of music called metalcore. I knew it existed. I knew it was really popular. But it was the other Jared, the first bass player, who suggested him. And he sent me a video of Stick to Your Guns, which is Jesse's other band. My first thought was like, are you fucking crazy? Because I listened to it. It was just like this song. It was a video. It was a YouTube video. And he was like, oh. And I was like, why do you think this guy would be interested in playing these songs? And also, you're a lunatic. What makes you think this guy would be good at doing it? You know? Because I have to really, like, I'm not trying to overstate it or anything, but I listened to it and I just laughed. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was kind of like, because I'm older, right? So I wasn't around for this screamo shit. Whenever I heard screamo and metalcore in the 2000s, I was an asshole, I guess, but I was like, fuck this shit. Like, I love Iron Maiden, I love early Slayer, Metallica, but like, I don't like modern metal at all. And hardcore, I have I'm jealous of hardcore because it's so popular. So when these hardcore bands, I see videos of them playing in front of thousands of people, like, it's jealousy. But I'm just like, this music fucking sucks, you know. And my first impression when I saw Stick to Your Guns, which since like I totally understand and I see it, I was sort of like, you know, quote unquote, educated myself on that style. But when I first saw it, I was like, this is fucking terrible. Like, what the fuck is this? Why in a million years would you think this guy would want to sing? Like, both ways. Like, why would he want to sing for this pansy ass, like what would soon be called Ways Away music, and vice versa? Why would I want to have a guy maybe go like, fuck you, over my stupid songs, like singing like my dog in the background right now, just like. But the way we found out that it was going to work was even before I met him face to face. He took one of mine and Jared's like demos songs, learned how to play it on acoustic guitar, and went. I have this image of him doing this. Like, when he said he went into his bathtub and closed the door because he had to, so his girlfriend wouldn't be like here or whatever, and put his iPhone out, and then he played on acoustic guitar the song and sang to it. And then he sent a text to the three of us. And I listened to it and I was like, holy fuck. Like, this is, to me, because I like Ways Away, like, but like, this is amazing. and it was just instantaneously where I was like, holy shit, I hope this guy continues wanting to do this because this is really good. And the funny thing about that recording was the recording, like I said, was on an iPhone. We'd never met before, but that recording, we used that iPhone recording as the intro when we made that song. That's on our first record. Like, it's literally, I don't know if any other band's ever really done that before, but like before meeting face to face, like he recorded something to be thrown away, which is part of a text message, and it actually made it to the first record, like, which I think is just like kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So we ended up writing, the song was in the same speed of that, based off of that pretty much, and it's really cool.
It doesn't speed up.
I think it must. No, I mean, maybe just a little bit, but because that wasn't. It's not like he was sitting in his bathtub playing to a click track or anything. He was just. No. But yeah, to add to that story, there was a conversation that Jesse and I had. We were both on tour in Germany. Stick to Your Guns and my band Boysetsfire. We were playing a festival called Veinstream, and we were sitting in catering, talking about how we had this band and it would be great if if he could sing on it. And then I remember I came home and I was playing at Amoeba Records, which is no longer at the old location, with this other artist I was playing with, Meg Myers, and he came and with a couple other friends, and I remember him telling me at that point that he had gotten some ideas already, which was like pretty quick. I mean, we had just gotten home from another tour and he's already thinking of ideas for Ways Away, which was really cool because all he had were a few demo songs that, like I said, or like Sergie said, we probably just did it. Like, I can't even remember how we would have recorded them, just like in my practice space on the phone, if that even,
Yeah,
and so he's,
that's what it was.
Yeah. So it's not like when I said the band started with three of us, Jesse was like, right there. It wasn't like a long time before that. Like, Sergie had the songs, we started messing around with them and just sent him the first versions that we had. So it was, I don't know, I'd be shocked if it was even a full month afterwards.
No, it was more. It was more. No, it was more. It was like 3 months because we had been practicing in your practice space, three of us, to the point where we had like 7 or 8 songs actually together. And I remember thinking like it was just around the time where I expected it to fizzle out, because basically what happened is like I met the other Jared at a Cro-Mags Terror show backstage because I'm friends.
Give him some preface. We never mentioned the other Jared, so he doesn't know what you're talking about.
Oh, this other bass player that we started the band with, who kind of started the band, like it was his idea because I was backstage because I'm friends with the guys in Terror. I just noticed this big, tall, lumbering hardcore guy with tattoos and stuff coming up. He came up to me and I was like, first I was like, oh shit, is this guy going to fuck with me? Because I'm nerdy. I'm not, obviously a non-hardcore guy hanging around backstage at a hardcore thing. But as it turns out, he was like, like he liked Samiam. And so he was actually really interested in meeting me. And at the end of the night, we hung out a bunch. He's a nice guy. He just said, hey, if you ever want to jam, I'd love to jam with you. I live in LA now. And I go, well, actually, I've been talking to my other friend, also named Jared, which is the guy we're talking to today. And he goes, oh, I'm friends with him too. And we've been talking forever about doing a band. And it was just like that. But I was just like, I've stopped and started jamming with people like 1,000 times. And it's usually just because I like playing music and I like playing with other people. But until you find a singer, it's just a little bit like a waste of time. It's fun. Usually what it is it's fun for a couple of weeks and then it fizzles out because it's impossible to find a good singer. Like you have to really luck out to find a good singer. And so I just didn't anticipate, especially in my advanced old age, to like, I'm going to find another singer worthwhile to play with. And I really didn't expect to. And like to be honest, I felt a little bad. Like maybe I was perhaps like leading on the two Jareds because in my mind, we weren't going to find a singer. That was we were going to maybe find some people to sing to play with, and then I was, this isn't really like going anywhere. And then I was going to be the guy to quit if they didn't before me. And so it was very unexpected, this whole Jesse thing. Like for me, from my end, as much as I would have wanted it to happen, I really didn't expect it to happen. And then the funny thing is, once we got together and we were all excited at these songs and we were like, wow, yay. Jesse literally pulled me aside and said, you realize that we're never going to play live. I mean, we might play live, but we're never going to tour. I have all this other shit in my main band to do. This is just like a recording project or whatever. And I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I got overexcited, whatever I was saying. And then somewhere down the line, he just like flipped and he's like just as excited or more excited than Jared or I. And he's like, I remember one time actually saying to him, like, whatever happened to, hey, Serge, we're never going to tour or whatever. And he goes, I don't know. I don't know why I said that. I was overwhelmed with like Stick to Your Guns. Because Stick to Your Guns, like Jared, those two guys, singer and the drummer of this band, are on. Last year, Jared, like I said before, Jared was on tour 10 months of last year, like literally. It seemed like he was always on tour. And this year he's been on tour until the last month, almost all year. And Stick to Your Guns is even crazier because with just one band, he'll be on tour for like 9 months out of the year or whatever. So the fact that we've been able to squeeze in what we have with Ways Away is kind of amazing. Because those I can't relate to these two kids. Like they take the whole idea of being in a band to a place that I just like cannot commit to, like it gives me anxiety. I went for a week back to East Coast of America to play 4 shows with Samiam. And the week leading up to leaving, I was already feeling anxiety as if I was going on tour for 6 months, because like, oh shit, what's going to happen with my dog? What's going to happen with my work? Like, I hate going to the airport. Like, oh no, like Jared goes on, you go on tour with 6 different bands. So at any one point, you need to know how to play like 120 songs minimum. And you have no idea, like a lot of times, like I can't keep track of where I'm going and who I'm going with. But I got, like you said, you have to go on Sunday to Mexico with Hope Conspiracy, right?
No, Friday with Joyce Manor.
Oh, with Joyce Manor. And it's just like, especially going to LAX, it's like, right now, I have to go to LAX sometime in October. I'm already stressed out about getting to the airport and going through TSA about October. And right now, it's like early June, but like Jared has to do that like once every 3 weeks. I mean, he's had to do it twice in the last week, I guess, right?
Oh no, I'm not even on. All my stuff is right there.
Yeah, I mean,
just don't.
So anyway, like I'm a long-winded person on these interviews, but Ways Away was completely like unexpected. And if you look at like your life, it's just like it takes millions of like twisted little turns with relationships and jobs, and in our case, bands, which is both kind of a job and kind of it is a relationship and kind of a job. It's like it's in my old age, it's like the biggest gift I've had, but my dog, I guess, but like it's like very unexpected and it's awesome because I'm like we just have a new record come out and it's like I know people say this about their records and their bands, but it's one of the things that I'm most proud of that I've done, and it's probably like my 15th full-length album that I've ever done. And for me to say that in my 50s is like, well, I mean, let alone unexpected. It's just like such a gift,
Well, you mentioned the album, Sergie. I mean, I was going to come to it. Obviously, the third album from Ways Away has just been released called I'm Not You. Congratulations. It's a fantastic album. I mean, it's no surprise to me that, once Jesse had joined, how quickly he became involved and engaged in it, because all you got to do is listen to a song or two from Ways Away and you think this is excellent. And the albums don't overstay their welcome. So to me, the albums are all perfectly timed. There's just enough on there to make you want more from them. So they're not overblown. They're perfect. They hit you hard and the album's gone. And you're like, I need to go back and listen to that. So I think you construct the albums really well when you're making your album.
Thank you.
So in terms, I guess, go on.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, in terms of the new album, the latest album, I'm Not You, it's still very much got that Ways Away sound, but maybe singing about different topics and I guess maybe getting older to a certain extent. So I guess tell us about the songs then on I'm Not You and how you recorded them, and was there a different approach to doing this album than the previous two?
Kind of. I can't speak on the lyrical content because that would be Jesse's department, but I can speak on how we got to where we were, which was backtrack, or not backtracking, to stay on topic about how busy we all are, I had a short window that I was around to record, and Sergie and I had been spending a lot of time, just the two of us, for a bit, because Jesse would be on tour, and so we just booked time to go record these songs so that we can at least have my drum parts done, because we were happy with the structures. And then I think I went on tour for, a couple months, and Sergie would go and put his parts down. And I should say that the studio is far, so it's not a quick or go around the corner, go record. It's like a 2-hour drive each way without traffic. So it was quite a commitment to go do it each time we had a session booked, or a couple hours, But then I was gone, so I did my parts, and then I was pretty much gone, and Sergie had to take over.
Well, they were both gone. So like me and Jared constructed these songs and recorded these songs, just the two of us, because Jesse was gone then. And that was like, that took like a month or more of just me, him in his practice room playing these songs, and then going in the studio for 2 days and then laying down the drums. And then I was kind of like alone to do the rest of the music, because I played almost all the guitars on this record, unlike the other two records. I played most, I suppose, on the other records, but this one I played like 95% of the guitars are me, because Jesse, he's a great guitar player, but like he's like focused on singing, and so he's just like can't be bought. It's like I don't even really know what it is. He has no ego about guitar, and so he's like, I'm on tour, just go at it and just do it. And it's like, you don't have to tell me twice, because like being in the studio layering guitars is like one of my favorite things in life to do. And so so it happened. So my point is, like, musically, like, this is really just Jared and I, like, we made this happen. So that is a little bit different, because in the past with the other records, it was all of us, especially because the other two records were made during the pandemic. So these guys weren't gone on tours as much. Like this record, we really felt the pinch of these two guys' schedules, not being able to be together to do it. But then touching on what you're saying lyrically, like Jared's right, I can't comment too much about the process of the lyrics, but as a fan of Jesse's and listening to lyrics, there's one song in particular where I really feel like on this record that he like turned a corner and wrote like just like his best lyrics. Like it took like maybe like 37 songs, Ways Away songs or something, that where he wrote like this one style that is something that I appreciate the most of any kind of lyrics, which is like kind of like slice of life kind of lyrics, or just sort of like, I mean, some people might even call it like a boring topic, but the song is called Seen by You, which is a little bit of a departure from the other songs. It's not as aggressive. It's kind of like a Lemonheadsy kind of like mellower kind of song. But the lyrics are really just kind of like, I feel like they're lyrics that could appeal to anyone of any kind of like background or like interest or whatever, because it's just slice of life is a good phrase. It's more just like introspective, kind of like broad themed, rather than about something in particular that I feel like anyone could relate to. And also, like, Jesse has a real tendency to, I guess it's a bleed over from hardcore, but write angry songs. Even in Ways Away, a lot of them are just like angry. And this one is not angry. This one is more like curious about life, kind of, But when I heard that song and dug into lyrics, I was like, oh shit, like Jesse's like really like grown on this record. To me, it's grown. So there's one weird thing about this record is that Jesse is Jared kind of likes like sports a little bit, like the Philadelphia Eagles are his football team, and if they win, he's like, yay, they won or whatever. He's not really that much of a sporto, and I'm kind of a little bit of a sporto like now, but Jesse's 100% not a sporto. Like he's like, I could give a fuck about the Lakers or whatever. For some reason on this record, there's like four times where he makes like a reference, like a turn of a phrase. He makes a reference to some kind of sporting thing. Like there's one where he goes like, I'm on third, but they're not waving me home, I think is the line. And that's a reference that won't make much sense to you, but it's like a baseball reference. and there's just like three other ones, and I'm just like, it's not on purpose. It obviously is not a spoiler, but I don't know how that exactly happened, where he made like sporting references in his lyrics, which I think is really odd and kind of fun and weird.
And there's a few guests, right, on this album as well. So you've got a few guest vocalists who step up to the mic as well to take on a few vocal duties.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're like kind of lucky in the way that between Jared and I and Jesse, well, all four of us actually, Chad too, we just have a lot of friends in high places. I mean, not that high. And then we also like, I don't know, like we're not like the hugest band or that popular or anything, but I think we've sort of like earned a certain amount of respect with our peers in this band. Like maybe when we started out, like some people like, oh, these guys got a new band and stuff, but it's just a side project and it's not like that serious or whatever. Or like I can't keep track of all those bands Jared's in or whatever. But I think that like, you know, with the last two records, we sort of proved that like, although we can't tour like all the time like a real band, but we are very much a real band, and this is not like a recording project. It's not a side project. It's a real thing, you know. So yeah, so it's really easy for like Jared to just like Jared was playing with Chuck when he asked Chuck, "Hey, can you sing on our record?" And like with Ingo, the guy from the Do Nuts, I've just been friends with him for 30 years, and like I just straight up and just asked him, "Hey, would you like to sing on a record?" And it wasn't like, "Oh God, like what?" He was like really excited because he was excited to do it with all of us, you know. And he also was, oh, it's not just some dumb thing for your dumb band that you're not going to put too much effort into and no one's going to really give a shit about or care about. Like he recognizes that people, you know, to a certain extent do care about this band and stuff, you know. So to me, like the idea of having a guest guitar player do a guitar solo is awesome. To me, having guest vocals is a little bit like I was apprehensive of it because the juice you get having a guest singer is just like the week the record comes out, like, oh, I'll check that out, right? Oh. But the actual recording lives on forever, and so it's kind of like, like if I wanted to listen to Ways Away, I want to hear Jesse sing. Like, I don't care if they dug up John Lennon and had him sing on it. It's like, I still want Jesse to sing on Ways Away. So at first I was like kind of apprehensive. And Jesse's like, you know, it's like more like he's younger and he's more into what people do now in bands, which I could give a fuck what people do now in bands, really. So for my part, he had to kind of convince me that this was a good idea. Whereas on the first record, we got, you know, like Joby in the Bronx to play a guitar solo. And I was like really into that because like ain't no one coming to Ways Away to hear my guitar solos, you know, and it's neat to hear like a guy as good as Joby play on one of our songs. That didn't need any convincing, but like for singing it, like I was kind of at first like, hey, you know, like why are we doing this? But they all turned out really rad. So and you know, to me, like, you probably don't know who the Do Nuts are, but in Germany, they're a really big band. And I think it's neat that for German people to like get into Ways Away because Ingo sang on it. And of course, like Chuck is like internationally, like, you know, like a person of interest. So it's great that he can like, you know, bring some interest into our band and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they're great tracks. It's a great album. So I commend you. I mean, all the albums are great that you've put out today. You mentioned Germany, you mentioned touring, and you are coming to Europe, aren't you? You are coming to the UK in October on the Common Thread tour.
Yeah, it was our second trip. We went the year before last. And in England, we played 2,000 Trees, you know, which is a cool festival.
And then we played Crowbar in London.
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry, not Crowbar. We played the Black Heart.
We played London and we played in Leeds, right?
Yeah.
Maybe one other.
Yeah, the book.
Oh, and Manchester. But yeah, right. we're doing this tour. At first, this tour is sort of like a bunch of tours mixed together to be like a kind of a newer kind of concept that they're trying out, where they're trying to. It's like a city festival, in every city rather than like a festival in a festival grounds. So some days we're going to be playing a festival, and some days we're just going to be playing a show, and it's like spread across different venues in the city. So it'll be interesting. I'm still not even clear where and when we're playing, and I have like the little Excel sheets, but it's kind of confusing to me. But originally, actually, we were going to play mostly Hot Water Music headline shows, and then because of a band dropped out and Joyce Manor was added, and Jared plays in Joyce Manor, we're playing predominantly Joyce Manor headline shows. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think from what I've seen,
maybe not for Jared because he has to play 2 shows a night. But
I was going to say, yeah, Jared. So you'll play Ways Away in the Camden show, and you're playing in Joyce Manor as well. So 2 gigs in one day.
Yep. Yeah, it's not a big deal. It'll be fun.
Yeah,
it's better, right? Idle hands.
I mean, Camden. I presume you've both been to Camden before, but Camden is the perfect place to host that day, that festival. Looking at the lineup of bands who are on there, there's some great bands, but Camden's the perfect place. I think I saw you guys have been added in the list that I saw anyway, playing the Underworld, which I don't know if you've ever been, but the Underworld, it's got a very good history in Camden. It's nice and small, but it's big as well. It's got a lot of history to it, so I think you guys will go down massively well at the Underworld.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. Yeah, I've played many times in the Underworld. Yeah, I spent many nights there and getting kicked out of there, so I think it'll be a good time for us.
Jared spent many nights upstairs at the World's End getting kicked out for drinking too many pints and too many shots.
Too many snake bites.
We went. Did you come with me when we played at Blackheart? Because Blackheart is just like down that alley.
Yeah, Microwave was playing, I think.
Yeah, but did you come to the pub with me and my friend Jeff last time?
I did. Yeah. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in London. I was in a band for 2 years that was only UK based. So we only played England. I think we might have done 1 show in Germany in my time in that band. So I spent a lot of time there.
What band was that in the UK, Jared? It sounds like you've been in just a huge heap of bands and have got this just vast experience. I didn't realise. Who was the UK band for 2 years who you played in?
That band's called Pure Love.
With Frank Carter.
Oh, okay.
Singer of the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, I was going to say, Frank Carter's not doing too badly at the moment, is he? Living his dream.
Yeah, he's doing great, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we that was 2012, I think, around there, yeah.
Wow, so no strangers.
We also played in Seal, which is also, you could say, an English band, too.
Well, I mean, that came up when we were already doing Ways Away, and I remember one day when I got that gig, I remember we were having a rehearsal, and I was terrified to tell you guys that things are going to be a little weird for a little bit.
I feel like you were like a little apprehensive telling us because we were all excited about starting a new band, but you were also just like, don't jinx this because it's such a big thing.
Yeah.
So in terms, gents, of what you're listening to at the moment, I always like to ask my guests what they're listening to currently, whether it's new stuff, whether it's old stuff. So Jared, I'll start with you. What are you listening to at the moment, whether you're streaming it or whether you've got the LP or a physical product? What are you listening to at the moment, Jared?
I'm really into this artist Ian Now, N-O-E that's how you spell the last name. He's got an album called Between the Country, came out a couple of years ago, and I just pretty much have that on repeat. It's incredible. Let's see, what else am I listening to? A lot of mixes. I have a couple records coming out, so I'm just constantly listening to mixes, which is not nearly as exciting. It's exciting for me, but it's not exciting to talk about until they're out, I guess. But yeah, Ian Now or No, and then like Coulter Wall I think is great as well. So I guess I've been listening to a little more singer-songwriter, kind of less bombastic. Yeah, almost like drumless stuff, yeah. That and I mean, that's not totally true because I really love Lalome and like the Sacred Souls, and I can't remember what else I've listened to recently. It's funny you mentioned Lalome because I'd never heard of Lalome before, and on last week's podcast, Russell Marsden from Band of Skulls mentioned Lalome, and it's the first time I'd ever heard of him, so they've been mentioned now twice.
in a week. So it's really
They're
interesting
incredible.
that you mentioned them. Yeah, he was raving about them and couldn't believe kind of how good they were. And I guess these days it's so easy to kind of find a band as soon as someone talks about them. So I look forward to kind of.
They're incredible. They do a lot of covers in their own way, and you know they're really great at this like cumbia sound and this kind of like a Cuban background. But they're phenomenal musicians, and their music to me is incredibly enjoyable to listen to at all hours. I'm a big fan of them.
Yeah, sounds really cool. And what about you, Sergie? Who are you listening to at the moment?
I mean, like my musical tastes kind of got sort of stunted in the late 80s, early 90s. So in general, I listen to the same shit. I'm not really interested in new stuff. And that's kind of like, like Sonic Youth and Teenage Fan Club and Dinosaur Jr. and that kind of stuff, which kind of bleeds over to like what I list to new stuff because I don't look for new stuff. But like I really love a band that's relatively new called Oblov. Have you ever heard of them? But they're younger, like probably in the early 30s guys that it's almost like listening to old stuff because they are very similar to early Dinosaur Jr. So it's like, oh yeah, like I'm such an asshole when I listen to something new. It's something that's trying to be like 90s. But the same thing, like I love Mannequin Pussy. Are you familiar with them?
Not too. It rings a bell, but no, I couldn't tell you any songs.
They're an Epitaph band, but they are very, very, very 90s. And then like things like I'm really into like Thurston Moore, which is the guitar player of obviously of Sonic Youth. That he had been putting out records for years, and I was like, who cares about freaking like guy in the 60s putting out solo records after his band broke up? But somewhere around like I think during the pandemic, I discovered his particularly his 2015 record, and I'm like, wow, this is some of the best stuff he's ever put out, and I'm really into that. But if I'm super super honest, and it doesn't come off well on podcasts or whatever, because I think that like if you're like listening to a podcast with hot water music, you don't want Chuck to talk about like, oh, I listened to a lot of this old country guy or this. The general person wants to go, yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Wilhelm Scream, and you know what I mean? Because that's what I'm into, and I want to hear that the guy in the band I like listens to shit I listen to, or can turn me on to other shit that I like. But if I'm perfectly honest and I'm unfiltered, like I unironically listen to Hall & Oates a lot. Like it would surprise people that listen to music. I listen to this guy, this Canadian like guy that if you listen to it, you'd go like, what the fuck? But his name is Gordon Lightfoot. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I know Gordon Lightfoot, yeah.
Sometime on tour around 5 years ago, me and my friend Robbie were walking in a gas station in the South, like somewhere in the South in America. And it was just weird. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to the South of America, but it's fucking weird. And this Gordon Lightfoot song came on, and I was like, this sounds exactly, without the like Nigel Goodrich production, but it sounds exactly like freaking that Beck record called Sea Change. But it was recorded in the 70s or whatever. And obviously Beck was really into Gordon Lightfoot when he made that record. Like that record is like, to me now, I go, oh, it's Beck covers Gordon Lightfoot, produced by the guy who produced Radiohead, right? It's exactly what it sounds like. And I sort of got overexposed to the Sea Change. I still love it, but I don't really put it on. I put on Gordon Lightfoot way too much. And also, it's not ironic. Same thing with Hall & Oates. Some of these like goofy songs from the 80s, like other people, I love Gordon Lightfoot. I mean, I love Hall & Oates. It's so great. Like, ding, ding, dong, bam, bam, ding, ding, or like I like that. And I like aha or whatever. And it's just this big joke, like they're like ironic shirt or hat or whatever. But for me, I love the craft of some of these songs and the recording and the playing and everything in the way that someone might expect that I talk about a Jawbreaker record. But I don't listen to Jawbreaker or very often, or if ever. And I listen to fuck the fuck out of like Chic and Hall & Oates and just like weird old shit like that, you know.
That's why I love this podcast, because when people do their fantasy festival, they always bring acts in who you wouldn't necessarily associate their band with. So I love hearing you talk about who you're listening to, and I love Jared talking about going to do jazz drumming, right? Because when you listen to Ways Away, you can't hear, you wouldn't associate some of that stuff that you're talking about with Ways Away, which is why I think this is always like a fascinating podcast to do. So
I'll tell you one thing about that, and it's about bands. And when I talk about bands, I always have to like say I'm not talking from the point of a guy in a band. I'm talking as a music fan. So if I say anything that's opinionated, it's not like, what about your fucking band? It's just my opinion as a music fan, not as a guy in a band or anything. And it's that I sort of came up in the 90s being in bands. And at the time, in the style of music that's vaguely like Ways Away, or at the time my band was called Samiam, what was popular in that genre of music was like Fat Records or Epitaph bands. And to me, when I listened to that style of music, which I was never particularly into, I love Bad Religion, but I almost like zero bands that sound like Bad Religion. And there's, as you know, like millions of bands in that era that do. But you can totally tell the bands, and there's a pronounced difference, are the bands where they started a band and all the members listened to like Lagwagon, Bad Religion, and Pennywise. And the bands that listen to like a wide variety of music and all sorts of different styles, but then they come together to play in a vaguely Bad Religion style band. And to me, not only can you tell, but if it is a band that all they listen to is that style of music, or predominantly, and they're all unified in this like, oh, I love skate punk or whatever genre it is, and they just listen to this one genre, 9 times out of 10, that band fucking sucks. You know, right? But if it's like, even if it's a band that plays death metal or something like, but like the singer loves the Police, the drummer loves cumbia, and you know, chances are that band, even if I might not really like the style that they play or anything, that I'll understand, well, this is a really good band, you know, because they're just like real music lovers rather than just like, you know, this narrow kind of thing, you know. And hopefully that comes across in Ways Away, that like all our influences and all our like musical like listening proclivities come together to make these songs, even though the band is like relatively has a relatively narrow like scope musically. Hopefully, like, you know, you can hear the influences are pretty wide. They're really wide, really, if you get down to it. You know,
I want to interject back to the writing process, because that reminded me. It's like another way that this album evolved was, even after we had done all those things, like I would do my tracks and then Sergie would do his, and then Jesse would come home. There would be days where then we would go to the studio together and have these restructured versions of songs, because Jesse would have a new idea, or he would put a guitar part down that would kind of change the structure or vocally. So it still kept evolving throughout the entire process because of these other inspirations, like what we were just talking about. You know, he would then have his idea on something on top of what we had already kind of put down as like a base coat, you know, and then it would get to Chad, and then he has all these really different influences as well. And so then they would still kind of keep evolving throughout. It wasn't just like, here's what it is, lay this down, and that's the end of the song. Everyone's influence, as it got layered on, would change the song, and we would make different changes as we went throughout the process of it, until it was, I mean, pretty much until like the very last day, things were still changing.
And that's the great thing about being in a band, right? Because it's a collective. It's not just one person's vision. Everyone can have their own influences and bring to the table something different. And like you said, you can start a song one way and it comes out a completely different way at the finished product.
I think personally, as this record has come out and I listen to it, I would say daily, I still listen to this album. I think this one has a sound to me that I can hear everybody's personality in this album more so than in the last ones. Not that discrediting our last albums, but this one to me sounds like I can listen to a part and be like, oh, like there's Sergie, you know, or there's Chad, like that's clearly a Jesse part, or that's Jared being stubborn about having this rhythm that he wants to throw in, or you know what I mean? Like there's all these little things that you can really hear each person individually.
As it should be.
I think also like speaking for myself, I got each record. I got less precious about my songs. Less precious about keeping it with my like initial vision. Because on like the first record, like I would feel compelled to tell Jared things like what to do. Sometimes mixed reaction. And the second record, a lot less. But I think on this record, Jared asked me questions, but I didn't tell him anything ever. And I didn't. There might have been an occasion here or there where he kind of like went in a way that I was like, oh, could you do it this way a little bit? But in general, like it was all him, and that wasn't the case.
Even with Jesse, there were times where we had rough ideas, and I would play a beat in the right vicinity of what he had, but he would say, "Can you change the kick pattern?" You know, so everyone has their input, and even with guitar parts, we would say things to Sergie, be like, "This is great, but I think would you mind if we just changed it just a little bit?" You know, and so it wasn't. I don't think everyone was just listening to their part for this record. I think everyone was kind of hearing what's best for each song.
And that's how the best records are made, right? You can hear that for the album, and I guess that's what makes it such a great album, because like I said, it is a great album, so I commend you both massively for keeping it fresh and making a fantastic third album. So this podcast, as you know or might not know, is all about collating your fantasy festival, right? So you guys get the honour of collating a fantasy festival. You get 5 acts who take 5 time slots. So you get an opening act to play from 2 till 3. You get a super seconds act to play from 3:30 till 4:30. You get a midway madness act to play from 5 till 6. A pre-headline act to play from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. Then you get a headline act to pick who play from 8:30 to 11. And then once your headline act finishes, all your 5 acts come back out on stage to play one song, which is their encore. That can be any song by anyone to finish off your fantasy festival. So I don't know how much you've got worked out or how little you've got worked out, but we'll have fun along the way with your fantasy festival. But before I guess we talk about the acts who are going to make your fantasy festival, you need to give your fantasy festival a name and a venue. So Jared and Sergie, do you have a name for your fantasy festival, or should we fly by the seat of our pants and just decide on a name here and now?
How many times didn't answered and just went their name Palooza?
Not as often as what you'd think.
I think mine would be called Fuckfest.
Wait, is this a band? Is it just one band fest, or is this each individual's fest?
No, it's like five bands.
I know, but I mean, are we doing it as a Ways Away fest, or are we doing it as Jared's and Sergie's separate fests?
It's open-ended, whatever you want for your like fantastical fest situation.
Yeah, we could do. You can both have one each if you want to. That's not a problem. So you can both have a stage. So we'll call it whatever you want, and we can do a Sergie stage and a Jared stage. It'll be a friendly competition, no rivalry, and whoever goes to watch stage, we'll keep it at that.
Well, mine's
interesting.
Mine's already been established. It's called Fuckfest.
All right, we've got Sergie's Fuckfest. Amazing. Jared, any appetite to go against Fuckfest with a different title? Or do you
I'm gonna have to rebel against the against Fuckfest, and mine's gonna be called Fuckfest.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. All right, so we've got Fuckfest and Fuckfest. I like it. We have
the same bands playing both.
I guess we'll see where we end up, right? So like I said, you get 5 acts, progressively getting more time throughout the day as the day goes on. So you get an opening act each. So Jared, I'll come to you first, mate. So Fuckfest. Everyone's really excited. It's 2 o'clock. Your opening act is going to get an hour to play. It can be anyone from any era, any genre, alive, dead, whoever you want to open your fantasy festival, Jared. So who are you going to have open Fuckfest?
Oof, that's a hard one. So what time are they playing?
They're going to come on at 2 and they're going to play for an hour till 3 o'clock.
The most Jared question of all time, like a specific question before he can establish what his answer. What time are they playing?
Yeah, I'm trying to build it up here a little bit, you know? Okay, you know who I'll have play? I recently found out of an album that my friend had put out a long time ago. You know what? Let's see. I don't think it was that long ago. Let me take that back. 2019, not that long ago.
Not that long ago.
And he's an old friend of mine, and the album is fantastic. So I'm going to have them play. And they're called Wild Flowers of America. My friend Perry Chow.
Yes. No one understands why you're saying that.
Because So Perry's an artist. He does incredible artwork for like a lot of albums and stuff. And he's an old friend of mine from Philly. And we used to do construction together back there. But they kind of sound like, it's kind of like Elvis Costello. So I think it would be a good opening act. They're like punk, energized, get people kind of amped up. People probably don't know very much about them. So it could be good exposure for them. But I've been listening to that record a lot recently as well. So I'm gonna pick them.
All right, great shout. I look forward to checking that out. It's not an act who I'm familiar with, so I always like it when people mention acts who might not be the obvious choices. So we've got Wildflowers of America opening Fuck Fest. On the other side, at Fuck Fest, Sergie, who are you going to have open your fantasy festival? So again, 2:00, your first band get an hour to play. Who are you going to have, Sergie, to open your fantasy
2:00.
festival?
Okay, now I got to think about my answer specifically for 2:00. Is it raining?
2:00's weird. Yeah, you gotta think about that. They're playing into the sun here. Are they facing the sun? Are they?
There's three answers for this question. One's like the truth. Going back to what I was saying before about what I really listen to. So, like, I'm just not going to do what I really listen to because, like, no one wants to hear, like, my festival with the Beatles headlining and then frickin' Gordon Lightfoot and...
No, they absolutely do, though. They absolutely do. But you can pick who, again. You can pick whoever you want.
I'm just going to pretend like I'm not that guy, and I'm going to just pick a genre and sort of, like, curate it, like, as if that was what it was, right? And I'm going to do sort of like that kind of like, whatever emo-y kind of like punk rock adjacent kind of thing that Ways Away is. And I'm not going to say this because I'm one of those guys that picks on their top 10 their own band. It's just that I want to play this festival at Fuckfest. So I'm going to put Ways Away as the opener.
Love it. I love it.
Oh.
We can do that.
Can we play two sets? Or is this like...
We're going to come
like,
on... I haven't figured out what the headliner is, but whatever the headliner is, we're going to come on and play with them, and they're going to say good things about it, so it's going to actually help our band too.
Oh, that's cool. All right, cool.
All right, so Ways Away opening Fuckfest. They're going to play 2 till 3. Sergio, I'll let you go with your second act first then. So who are you going to have then follow Ways Away? So Ways Away played for the first hour. Who's coming on after Ways Away?
So I have to like sort of include, because this is sort of like a emo post-hardcore kind of festival. And because there's only 5, I got to combine some bands because there's only 5 and there's so many bands I'd want to put on there. So I'm gonna kill 2 birds with 1 stone and also represent a band where one of the members unfortunately passed away. So the next band's gonna be Sensefield, but I'm gonna have my friend Garrett, who sings for Texas Reason, on there singing in his place so that I can include Texas Reason. And also, Sensefield was one of his favorite bands, and the 3 of us, like the singer and Garrett and I, were like really close friends all through the 90s. So yeah, have you ever heard of Sensefield before?
No, not at all. No, but I will definitely, after this, like I said, go back and check them out because that's all part of the kind of.
They were a super great band, and then in 2016, I think, the singer like unexpectedly died really young, and it was they weren't a popular band. They were just like a lot of people in band's favorite band, and so there was like 2 memorial shows, but the one in LA, they got a lot of bands like to play. Like it was unexpectedly, like if I died, like who'd come out and memorialize like poor old dead Sergie. But it was really neat to see how like when John died, like all these people just came out, and it was just this. There was like, I don't know, 1,500 people at the show. It was just like this amazing thing. And Garrett singing for Sensefield is, I guess if I was a cooler person, I would have thought of this, actually said it would be John would come back to life and he would sing, but I'm not that forward thinking.
All right, so Sensefield, good shout. I look forward to listening to some Sensefield bits. Jared, you had Wildflowers of America on. Who are you going to have follow them for your Super Seconds act?
I think that the all-stars of the fest, I think Ways Away is going to have to play a second set, but we're going to do an album play.
Okay.
And we're going to do I'm Not You start to finish. Only, so it's a short set, so then we'll have to kind of do like an encore set afterwards, but maybe we'll do like a cover set after we finish the album play, because you said it's an hour-long set, right?
Yeah,
so we saw like 20 minutes. So we could just do like request covers. Maybe we'll do like Misfits songs or So right when we're done on Fuckfest, we're gonna have to run over to Fuckfest. I hope the stages are close because we have to hopefully have more than a 15-minute set change so I don't get a black eye, and we're gonna have to play again. Yeah.
Amazing.
So you won't be able to watch Sensefield. I'm sorry, Sergie. You're gonna be busy.
Well, you're gonna have to start doing some time alternates, so there's a bit of a gap between each bands because these bands are too good not to see on.
If it rains, I might get all muddy. Like my shoes might get all muddy. Like going across the field too. That's gonna suck. Coming back out and play a show with wet socks.
Oh yeah, what was that festival where that actually happened? We did. You fell asleep in the beanbag.
Yeah, that was in Belgium. It was Vera on it.
Yeah, very, very muddy.
I got so wet, and oh my god, it was crazy. It was watching band Lorna Shore, like in a tent, but I fell pretty much in giant puddles of mud to get over there to check out what this freaking metalcore business is all about, and I regretted it so much because then I had hours just wet, freaking muddy socks, and I was like, we didn't know where we were sleeping that night. I was just dying.
All part of the experience, I'm guessing. All part of the festival experience. So,
yeah.
Jared, you got Ways Away playing a new album, I'm Not You. There's your Super Seconds act. I'll come to you then for your third act, your Midway Madness act. So you've had Wildflowers of America, you've had Ways Away. So who are you going to have as your Midway Madness act coming on at 5 o'clock?
I kind of want to have a midday headliner, so I'm thinking Dio can come play. I think that would be a nice time for Dio. Yeah.
He's dead though.
Doesn't matter.
We can bring Dio back. You can bring people back for this. You can have a sunny festival. You can have an unmuddy festival. You can do whatever.
Now this whole Sensefield thing with me not getting John back to life is really making me look bad.
I mean, that's the version you wanted.
You can have whoever you want in Sensefield. You can have multiple people sing if you want to. So completely up to you, Sergie. So Dio's coming back. Dio's going to play Midway Madness set. It's going to be an insane hour for Dio.
Yeah, but they're not ending with Holy Diver. They're actually going to end with Straight Through the Heart, but it's just going to be the drum fill that starts Straight Through the Heart for 5 minutes on repeat, and then they're just going to go into the song and they're going to play until they pull the power on them because they're going to go over their time.
All right.
Is that a Peace Brother? What drummer was that?
Yeah, it was. That was Vinny.
Yeah. Would there be a flanger on those toms?
Oh, it's a good idea. Maybe I should have like Diplo mixing them or something so he can kind of like... Isn't
it the one that goes like has some kind of effect on the toms? That intro?
No, it's they're probably concert toms, but I don't think there's an effect on them.
Oh, okay, never mind. I'm not well versed on my Dio at the moment.
That's okay. Well, you have time to watch them there.
So Dio are going to become the first Midway Madness act where the plug gets pulled. We've never had a plug pull at 6 o'clock, but they're going to play till slightly after 6. The plug's getting pulled.
They're going over their time. Yeah,
they're going over.
But they're going to end. They're going to end with a sing along, so you won't hear them, but the crowd will be singing along, so it'll be like they'll be supportive of it. And the festival's going to look pretty bad for doing it, but I think it'll be okay at the end of the day.
Sounds great. It's going to go down in legend. So Dio's your Midway Madness act, Jared. Sergie, to come back to you. You've just had Sensefield on.
I'm going back to my 90s emo business, and I'm going to put a band from the 90s called Promise Ring on there, because that was a band that I really loved. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. But
no, you're stumping me on these acts, but I love it. The whole point of this is people talking about acts they love who could be massive or not be so well known. So we're
not massive. You know, like the emo in the 2000s and 2010s and now 2020s killed what the original emo was, and these bands that are actually the cornerstone of the style of music aren't known or loved because people love like My Chemical Romance and whatever those other things that they call emo. And I'm not into any of those bands. I'm really into my old man like 90s versions. It's like so you know, do you have like emo night where you are, or like in London?
Yeah. Well, it was massive. Obviously, I'm 45, so I remember those periods. And yeah, it's still going strong over here. They're still massive, and there's new acts over here like Youngblood. I don't know who Youngblood is. He's an English kid who's getting bigger
like I hate
and bigger.
That shit. Right? They call it emo, but it's not emo at all. And the difference between really like the real like 90s kind of what I consider real, but the 90s emo and what the emo of 2000s is like every frickin' 2000s and past band like wore this frickin' badge of emo on emo there, emo. And all the 90s bands, like the last thing they wanted to do is be lumped into some stupid category with a stupid name like emo. And it's like, can almost like separate what a good emo band and what I consider a terrible emo band is whether they identify as emo. If they identify as emo, they probably suck.
So we've got Promise Ring. They're your Midway Madness act. So I'll come back to you, Sergie. You've got 2 acts left to go. You've got a pre-headline act left to pick. So who are you going to have in front? You've got 2 acts. Who are you going to have follow Promise Ring as your pre-headline act?
So in this genre, there's what's left is probably the top bands in the genre. What's left are probably like there's this band called American Football that are like a band that got big after the fact when they reunited. And then there's Jawbreaker. And then there's Sunday Real Estate. And like, I never got into the American Football band. So like, they were a little after my time. So like, even though they're popular, most people would probably put them in there. They're out. Fuck them. They're not fuck fest quality. Then Sunday Real Estate, I feel like they've sort of like overstayed their welcome as far as like they reunited and now they're just a popular band. And I'm like, out of jealousy, I'm like, fuck them. They're out of there. Even though like I always loved them. And they used to be the number 1 in this emo thing, but when you see my headliner, you'll realize that they got recently dethroned from that number 1 spot in people's hearts, sad emo people's hearts. But I'm not going to say Jawbreaker because I feel like they've sort of took it a little too long too, and now they're sort of like just like a band that plays as popular rather than something that's going to make Fuckfest just like the ultimate emo little show or stage. So I'm going to say Jester Brazil, which is the singer of Jawbreaker's post-Jawbreaker band. And they're going to be playing their record, Orange Rhyming Dictionary, in its entirety for the show. And people are going to be very excited about that.
All right. Great shout. So what they call Jester Brazil?
Just Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, all right, brilliant. All right, Just Brazil, pre-headline act. They're going to play their album in full. So you're 4 acts down now, Sergie. Jared, we'll go back to you. You've just had Dio on. They've just got kicked off the stage. Carnage is happening at Fuck Fest. It's going off over there. People aren't happy that Dio's been dragged off. You're going to have the next act to come and calm down the audience, but still keep it going. So who are you going to have as your pre-headliners, Jared?
Yeah, I was thinking while all the chaos was going on, like somebody that would be good that can walk out on their own, kind of, not needing the full backing band, so they can like do a changeover for the band. And since it's an hour set, they can maybe split their time a little bit. So I was thinking, someone who's really good at handling something like that could be like, I don't know, someone like Willie Nelson, like Willie Nelson could come out on his own, just kind of like get everyone refocused. And by the, halfway through the set, like his band could be set up and kind of join in and start playing and then build the energy back up, I think that would be a nice little time for everyone to just get a little serious for a second, just enjoy the music. Jets to Brazil could be playing in the background while Willie Nelson's playing. I think it would be perfect.
Yeah, it's a great shout. I think Willie Nelson sounds like someone who's going to do the job for you in your pre-headline act. Right, yeah. Willie Nelson is going to be your pre-headline act. He's going to play from 6:30 till 8. You get a half-hour break, then Jared, and it's time to pick your headliner. So you've had Willie Nelson, Dio, Ways Away, and Wildflowers of America. But what act is going to headline Fuck Fest?
So the Doobie Brothers. They are all about Fuck Fest, and a little known secret is Dio is a huge Doobie Brothers fan, so he might get up and do some songs, and everyone's kind of involved in it. Yeah, but it's definitely the Doobie Brothers. They're going to be controlling the crowd. They're Michael McDonald. I would like to have a Michael McDonald with beard version though.
Oh, it's got to be with beard version.
That's
got to be. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I think that's a clear headliner. I mean, no brainer.
They're still, I don't know what formation is still going within the Doobie Brothers, but they just come to London, or they're coming to London to play the O2 Arena. So there's still a massive demand over here for the Doobie Brothers.
You know what's fucked up about the Doobie Brothers is that in the 70s, like when I was a little kid, there was just this new thing called cable, called HBO. And I'm talking like 1978 or something like that. There was a frickin' Doobie Brothers final tour. I think maybe final show, hour-long HBO special. And that was like fucking 40 years ago. And the fucking Doobie Brothers are coming to fucking England in 2025. Fuck them. That's not fair.
Whoa.
How many last tours does the Doobie Brothers
My
have?
headliner, man.
How many last tours can the band have before people go, fuck you? How much money do you need, and what the fuck's wrong with you guys? And how desperate are you to have to fucking say final tour to get on HBO finally? Anyway, that's my thing.
It doesn't matter. They're headlining Fuck Fest. They've confirmed they're down. The bid's back. It's going to be as glorious as ever. It's going to be a great set.
Yep, it's true.
Which doobie you be?
All right. So, hang on. Are these headliners on at the same time? So, like, all the bands are coming out at the same time?
We'll do one on, one off. We'll keep it fair. So when yours goes off, Sergie's can come on, or vice versa.
Okay.
We won't be too precious about that. So the Doobie Brothers are headlining one side. Sergie, you've had Jets to Brazil, Promise Ring, Sensefield, and Ways Away on. So who are you going to have, Sergie, headline your side of the stage at Fuckfest?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, like conventional like wisdom of the world and the internet that like makes those lists that you find of this like genre that I'm doing, which is like pre-2000 emo, would have had like the King Bees either be that American football band or probably Sunny Day Real Estate. But just in the last like year or 6 months, a new crown to this kind of style of music presented itself. I just find it like really interesting. Just like I find like what bands get popular and what bands don't get popular, like to be just like very like as a fan and just like whatever, like as a spectator of this like whatever you want to call it, culture, really interesting. And that's it's not really the band, it's the band playing their one good record, like air quotes, that one good one. I have to actually subscribe to the idea that they only have one really good record too, but I really love them. And they're a band that are currently on tour doing they're a band that are popular and do 1,200 person shows usually in a normal year. But this year they decided to go on tour and do a 10-year anniversary of their one popular record. And they played an arena in LA. They played like Red Rocks in Colorado. It's just like it's like literally 12 times as popular when they play this 10-year-old record than when they play normally, which I find so interesting. And I also find like as a hater, I love too, because I just think it's like so interesting to think about whether maybe some of the members of the band are like kind of like a little bit miffed, just like, I don't get it. Why don't they like our new record? Like, why are they all hung up on that one from 10 years ago when I was only 21? But they're probably not like that. But me as a hater, I love to think about them like staying up nights, like having this bittersweet appreciation of their like incredible success that they're going through now. But the name of the band is called Turnover. I don't know if they're like really doing it that hard in England or mainland Europe, but in America, like I said, this tour is just like so freaking huge. They sold out like just everywhere here, and like I said, some of the shows are like 10,000 people or whatever. And they played last year, where presumably they played mostly their like latest record, and it was like 1,000 people. So anyway, they're from the last 15 years, and they're younger, but they play more like, especially that record. It's called Peripheral Vision. It would fit in perfectly in like 1998 or 1999, and they would be like the kings of this style of music. And so they're on top, and I just think their story is like extremely. There's another band that I'm really interested in different style music, which is Duster. Have you ever heard of Duster?
Nah.
They're also a band that it's just like in their time, which is the late 90s, completely unknown. Like unknown. They're from where I'm from, and I had no idea of them back then. But somewhere in the pandemic, a label put out a box set of them, and they went from unknown to now they probably have 15 songs that have over 30 million streams. and some of them have like almost 100 million, or maybe more than. Maybe they have a couple of 100 million streams, like real, actual music industry success. And they're old, they're grizzly, and they play the style of music which is sort of like atmospheric, kind of like stoner indie rock or whatever, like barely any singing, and it's just the most unlikely success story. And like with Turnover, like I'm just like so like I'm just like then the way that I'm impressed with anyone that's successful at anything, and I like and in awe of people that just try to do something, they're successful at it. Like I am like so at awe of both Duster and Turnstile, like especially because I'm not successful at anything. How successful that they are, and I don't know anyone in either band, and I'm happy for them as if they're my friends. I'm just like, fuck, that is so rad, or whatever,
Great stuff. I look forward to. I'll check that out as well. You made some great recommendations and some great choices in your lineup. So your festival's going to end, Sergie, and Turnover are going to bring back out Jets to Brazil, Promise Ring, Sensefield, and Ways Away. So you guys are back on the stage, and you get to play one song to close your Fuckfest festival. It can be any song, Sergie. It can be by anyone. It doesn't have to be by one of your 5 acts. It can be any song. But they're all looking at you, and you get to tell them what you're about to play together, collectively. So what are you going to have all your 5 acts play together?
Yeah. So it can't be. It can't really be something within the genre, in my opinion, because those things never turn out well. Like the All-Star Jam thing, it always comes off lame and stuff. Particularly if they're trying to wrap it all up in a bow. So it's better to do something like the opposite or off genre. So we are all going to play like as faithful as we possibly can, Angel of Death by Slayer. And see how that or maybe Piranha by Exodus, which is another one of my favorite speed metal bands. But no, it's going to be Slayer because more people know Slayer. So like even all the emo like wimpy guys and girls in the audience are going to know it, and they're going to get into it. It's going to be pretty good, especially because Turnover plays with like little combo amps. It's going to be fun to try to like get down, especially the little moshi. I mean, it's going to be great.
Sounds
I wish
awesome.
I could be there, but it's not going to happen. So that's not going to be there.
What's your fantasy? So you never quite know what might happen, I guess, in the future.
In my fantasy, I'm already there right now.
Absolutely.
I'm disengaged on this podcast. I'm there.
Absolutely. Actually. Yeah. You've just seen the Doobie Brothers and thinking, fuck, that was brilliant.
Angel of Death is going to be going on during the encore of Doobie Brothers, and people are going to be running from that side of the field over to see Angel of Death. I hope. That's my aim, at least.
And once they've seen Angel of Death, they need to go back because it's time for Jared's encore. So the Doobie Brothers are going to bring back on stage Woody Nelson, Dio, Ways Away, and Wildflowers of America. This is insane. We've got an insane festival day coming up. Jared, again, You're holding court. They're all looking at you. You get to give them one song that everyone can play collectively. What song are you going to have your stage play?
Well, seeing that everyone's going to have to run across the field, I imagine it's a pretty big field too. So it's going to have to be some Braveheart type running over a hill to catch my ultimate headliner song, right? Coming from Fuckfest to Fuckfest. And there's going to be, every band is going to have all their gear on stage as well too, like all the drums. So I'm going to give everyone a little bit of time to make their way over from Fuckfest. And the song that everyone's going to play together is going to be In the Air Tonight. So everyone has quite a bit of time to get to the part that they all want to be there for.
Yeah.
Which, we're all thinking it. I'm not going to say it, but we're all thinking it. Yeah. Sergie's acting. It's there,
Yeah.
So that's going to be my ultimate headliner. People can hear it. They're going to go, oh, is that, wait, are they playing In the Air Tonight? We got to get over before we get to the fill. Like, we got to go. We got to get out of here quick. Like, hurry up, Fuckfest. Finish up so we can catch this fill. Because I imagine there might be a little overlap, But yeah, I think everyone can make it over there in time for the fill.
That's amazing.
That'll be my song, In the Air Tonight.
that's going to be some fill, right? So you want all 5 drummers playing the fill, or do you want to extend the fill so it's all 5 consecutively after each other? You've got plenty of options there to do what you want within the fill, but a very iconic one.
I mean, the only problem with that is I don't know that they're going to have much time to practice. So, just winging it to have everyone do the extended fill could fall apart. And if it falls apart on that fill, then the whole festival is over. It'll never happen again. No. That's what everyone's going to remember. So I think it's best if everyone does it all at once, just so that logistically we can make it work, that we don't have a lot of like ticket returns at the end of the day and unhappy,
Superb. All right, so we've got Fuckfest. So Sergie's got Fuckfest, he's got Ways Away, Sensefield, Promise Ring, Jets to Brazil and Turnover. And for his encore, they're going to have play together Angel of Death. And then alternatively, we have Fuckfest with Wildflowers of America, Ways Away, Dio, Woody Nelson, the Doobie Brothers. And for your encore, Jared, they're all going to play in the air tonight. That is just the most wonderful, crazy, insane fantasy festival lineup I think probably we've had on the Fantastival podcast. So you gents happy to look that one into our Fantastival vaults?
I'm happy. I'm happy with both of these festivals. I would attend both.
I would agree. Sergie, we happy with that?
I'm really happy.
So I guess before we end this podcast, gents, obviously we've mentioned you're coming over to the UK. There's a few tour dates happening. What does the rest of 2024 look like for Ways Away and yourself? Because it seems like you're both very busy. And I guess maybe not even 2024, 2025, but even beyond that into 2026. What does the next year or so look like for the band and for you guys?
We already have planned, well, at least the idea of festivals in 2026 for Europe too. But I don't know, probably UK, because our booking agent is in UK, so he would never not let us go to the UK. But we because this crazy schedule that we come back to, I don't know what our openings for to book shows in 25 is right now, but we have a show in Atlanta and a show in Memphis, Tennessee, that like Jesse the singer is going to be flying in from Europe, and he's going to be flying out to the East Coast to start another tour. It's just, it's trying to do anything in Ways Away when do anything at all with these two guys' touring schedule. It's like it's very difficult. So it's really hard to answer that question as much as we possibly can. Because with that said, we're all like really into this, and we're all really proud of this record, So it's like whatever we can.
And Jared, I guess
I don't want to correct you, but isn't it Nashville, not Memphis?
You're correct.
Show?
I don't think anyone in England's flying out for it, but yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Well, I just needed to make sure for my own mind, because I maybe I forgot about something.
Being an English person, are you familiar with the term flyover state?
No.
So it's what they talk about like the Midwest, just the middle of America, all the people that mainly voted for Trump or whatever. And people in bands usually are very, very like, not just bands, people like that are trying to sell anything are very, very reticent to use that term or make people from those areas feel underappreciated or whatever. And I just accidentally just showed how I just don't care Memphis or Nashville, Tennessee, because I'm not.
I disagree. I love Nashville and Memphis very much, and I can't wait for them to have us play their lovely cities.
Oh no, I'm stoked to go there. I also want, that's where Gibson, the guitar company, is, and I want to go there. And I think that they're fun places. But I didn't consciously just call Nashville Memphis. I just revealed the fact that I don't think about them that much. That's what I meant to say. I wasn't like saying fuck them. I don't even know. Maybe I think that Nashville is so inundated by like New Yorkers and LA people, especially LA people, that it's probably like a blue state, a blue city at least.
Maybe city limits, yeah.
But I don't know about Memphis.
And Jared, it sounds like you've got your fingers in lots of pies. And it's going to be, again, if you're touring, just come off a tour, and it sounds like you're about to go on another one. It sounds like it's going to be quite a busy kind of 12 months, 18 months for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just how it goes, though. That's my life. But it's fine. There's always, it sometimes helps us out getting to different places, because we can, take advantage of the fact that I might be somewhere, or Sergie, or Sergie and Chad, if they're going to be on tour with their other band, then they'll be there together as well. Or if Jesse's out, we can usually take advantage of the fact that we'll be in different places. It helps us a bit.
Absolutely. So, gents, if anyone is listening to this and hasn't heard of Ways Away, where should people go to consume your stuff? Where should people go to follow you on social media? Let's give a big plug for Ways Away. So where do you want to direct people to?
We're really interested in selling our new record, because this is, as we put this record out, we're decided to take the no record label route, and we took back our masters from our old record label that wasn't paying us royalties. Fuck them. No, so to buy something or maybe a t-shirt or whatever, you can go to wayswaymerch.com. That's sort of like the center of our capitalist scumbag zone. But if you wanted to find us anywhere like YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, it's just at Ways Away Band, Instagram at Ways Away Band. If anyone wants to, if you guys just want to listen on Spotify and not be our friend, that's fine too.
And also, your stuff is available on physical, right? So I was looking before, you can buy the LPs of all the albums that are available on vinyl, right? And vinyl is massive in the UK.
So in England, if you went to wayswaymerch.com, there's a little tab that says international, and it would direct you to a company called Devil Dog, which is English mail order, and you could buy our new record as you listen to this. Go to devilldog.com, probably /Wayswayband. I don't know.
We'll get some links in the episode description. We'll put all the links where people would need to go.
Oh, that would be nice. Physically. That would be awesome.
We'll do that. We'll get that done for you. Not a problem.
Hell yeah, Steve. Steve's on the fucking ball. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, as everyone, thanks for listening to the 178th episode of the Fantastival Podcast. If you've enjoyed this one, you can subscribe and give the podcast a review. You can do that on iTunes, or you can give the podcast a follow on Spotify. You can also rate the show on Spotify as well, and leave a comment if you listen to the episode, and if you've enjoyed it, you can do that as well. That'd be massively appreciated. A massive thank you to both Sergie and Jared. Gents, thank you for joining me halfway across the world, and in my early evening is your early morning, but you've both been great sports. We've found out lots of great stuff about Ways Away, and we've come up with an absolutely phenomenal fantasy festival. How have you found coming on the Fantastival Podcast?
Total cracker. It was how do you say it in English? When you're just it was really good?
You can say, a cracking podcast, total cracker.
So what else? So tell me another one that I might not know.
What you might not know. It's fucking brilliant, but I guess that's
we know. Americans know, fucking brill. Give me another one. Give me a good one.
Do you know what? I couldn't, these days.
Come on. What would you say, if you were at the pub or whatever, and you're just a little bit 3 sheets to the window, and your friend something about something?
There's nothing specific, I don't think, in English that you wouldn't know. You would just go, really great. English people...
Do you know this American one that the younger people like? That fucks.
Go on. Well, was that it?
That podcast fucks.
Right, okay. No, that wouldn't make any sense over here. We don't really have those kind of sayings. That would be like, what? What are you talking about?
I know, because it's such a stupid one, but you hear young people go, that fucks. And you're like, every living thing on the planet Earth fucks, or at least tries to fuck. What's so good about it fucking? If you really want to do something, you might as well just go that shits.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything shits, right?
It's the same thing as it fucks.
Absolutely. But Sergie, Jared, thank you very much for coming on. Ways Away, a superb band. If you haven't heard them, go and check it out. You will not regret it. Cracking new album, and the other two aren't half bad either. So yeah, well done to you, because you've got a great band. You're on something big there. And I think with every album you release, I think you will start seeing more and more people come and see your shows. I think that was how it will work. And don't be surprised.
That'd be nice. I would love that.
Yeah. I think
after this podcast, 10,000 extra listeners on this month on Spotify. Thank you, Steve.
Absolutely. Yeah, your listeners go up in the UK. But no, absolutely, you deserve it. Hopefully when you come to the UK, you get a big crowd, because that tour, that big festival day, it's got some great bands there. Sincere Engineer, a great band. Spanish Love Songs are a great band. It's got lots of great great bands there. So if you are going to that, go and check out Ways Away. So I'll be back next week, in a week or two maybe, with episode 179. So please make sure to join me for that one. But until then, stay safe, my Fantastival friends. Please continue to spread the word. And that word is Fantastival. Thanks for listening.